a good time. Listen up, check us out. Use the hotline number to chime. Come on and join us, 'cause life's a surprise for you. Fun and family, with great fellowship too.
Crystal and Sean have exciting words. I'm sure there's something that you've never heard. Sunday at 6, it's an excellent mix. We got spiritual flair, special guests will be there.
Come on and join us, we're here and waiting for you. Connect with us at 6 o'clock, we want to share in all you do. Come on and join us, come right here and find. Connect with us and share your thoughts, we want to explore your mind. Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?
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 Come on and join us, we're gonna have a good time. Listen up, check us out, use the hotline number to chime. Come on and join us, 'cause life's a surprise for you. Fun and family, with great fellowship too.
Crystal and Sean have exciting words. I'm sure there's something that you've never heard. Sunday at 6, it's an excellent mix. We got spiritual flair, special guests will be there.
Come on and join us, we're here and waiting for you. Connect with us at 6 o'clock, we want to share in all you do. Come on and join us, come right here and find. Connect with us and share your thoughts, we want to explore your mind. Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?
Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?
Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?
Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
In Jesus' name, in the name of Jesus. Amen.
All right, let's go.
Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Chattitudes.
Chattitudes, what's your attitude?
Yes.
Hey, it's all about Chattitudes.
Yes.
We
Welcome
got-
to another segment of Chattitudes.
Yeah.
We are super excited because we have not one but two gentlemen in the studio with us today. They'll be sharing their perspective on child support and also offering some legal advice.
Yes, we are very excited today about child support is a hot and heavy topic. So we're not going to belabor the point too much today.
Right.
We're going to get right into it.
Right.
We do actually have some sponsors today that before we get started, we really want to acknowledge them. These are the people that keep us
Absolutely.
going. These are the people that keep our broadcast going. So we're very excited to have sponsors. Not only do we have sponsors who advertise with us, we actually have friends and family sponsors that sponsor us every
Absolutely.
single month.
So we
and
thank
so
you.
we're just so appreciative. We cannot do it without you, our sponsors. And so you make it all possible. And we're just very grateful to that.
Yes,
so we
yes.
do have some sponsors. We're going to have them up on the screen. And thank you so much for advertising with us. Like I said, without you, it's not possible. And so we have some sponsors going on, and they're going to be coming up very, very shortly. Our first sponsor is Dr. Alethea Simmons. She is actually running for the Board of Education District 4. Vote for her. I tell you what, many times we don't have educators in these positions. She's been an educator for over 40 years. Her slogan is all about, it's time to connect, all hands on board. She's here to promote equitable educational opportunities, and please vote for her come April.
Yes, and also we have another sponsor, a Diamond in the Rough event planners who
Yes.
serve D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. To book their professional services, contact Denise Montgomery and Tamika Sales on 302-786-9810 and follow a Diamond in the Rough on Facebook and Instagram.
We appreciate you, sponsors, so much.
Yes,
And
thank
as
you.
always, we're going to get straight into the word of the week. We're very excited. Every time we bring this word of the week.
Crystal.
We
We gotta go back. Wait a minute.
We gotta go
So
back.
while you're on YouTube, please subscribe to Vox Wave. Again, on YouTube, subscribe to Vox Wave. And before we get into everything, go ahead and call or text your girlfriends, your brother, your sister, your grandma, whoever you need to contact, and tell them to tune in because we are covering this hot topic on child support. I need all baby mamas, baby daddies, ex-wives, ex-husbands, and even your former boos. chime in because we want to hear from you, and we also want you to call in so you can ask questions. Our hotline number is 240-719-2560. Again, 240-719-2560. Go ahead and text.
Right. Thank you, Sean. You know, I get so excited about the word of the week. I get so excited about the word of the week. And every time I do the word of the week, I will tell you that I always do a drum roll first. All right. Today's word of the week is, are you ready for this, Sean? Because I hadn't heard of this, but they said some artists use this word. My daughter was talking about this word. So I was very, very excited about this particular word. So the word of the week today, are you ready?
What is it?
It's called check baby. You ever heard of it? You ever heard of it? Never heard of it. People in our studio audience have never heard of it, but the rapper Future actually used it a lot. But what the Urban Dictionary says about check baby is a slang for describing a child conceived solely, listen to this, for the purposes of extorting monies from the father or in child for child support. So basically what it is somebody who just knows that someone have a lot of money. And so what a person will do is actually conceive a child knowing that they're going to get a lot of money for child support. So now this baby becomes the check baby.
Wow, check baby.
We may have some check babies out there. Somebody calling about the check babies. We got a check baby already. All right, caller, we'll take you. Check baby.
Damn, take me, caller.
Who is that? We're not ready for you yet, sir.
You're not ready yet?
We not ready for you yet. You gotta wait till the show get on and popping before you chime in. You're gonna chime in a moment. So as soon as the guys get up here, we're gonna have you to chime in. All right, caller? We love you. All right. Thank you so much. All right, Sean, back to you.
Okay, and as always, please remember to go follow us on Facebook at Chattitudes. Follow us on Instagram at Chattitudes 2020. And also, check us out on our website to learn more about Crystal and myself and to look at some previous shows that we've done.
Yes.
So make sure to check us out and get more information on our website.
All right. So next, we're just going to have just a quick 1 minute break. And when we come back, we have two guys in the audience today. One is a lawyer. So we have a lawyer here today. And so we're really excited about that. And this other guy just told me to call him an ordinary Joe. He's just an ordinary Joe that's just coming to talk about child support. Mostly because he probably just like to talk.
And he probably wants to vent.
And he probably just wants to vent. And so we have these two gentlemen coming up. Just give us about a minute and a half, and we'll be right back with you to discuss this very, very important topic.
Yes.
See you in a minute. We'll see you in...
Talk to me, Pastor Mitchell. I don't know about you, but I've had all kinds of friends in my life. I think I've been right down that road with you. Yeah, I had some so-called friends. Yes. When trouble came, they went the other way. Tell me about it. But one thing I'm glad about, that ain't a friend like the lonely Jesus. No. Well,
right, welcome back. We have some feedback in the room. All right, welcome back. We have our two gentlemen here in the audience today who just so graciously graced us with their presence. So the first guy we have here, he's a talker. And when I called out and reached out to him and I said, hey, I just need you to come on just to talk about child support, he doesn't want me to read his bio. He's a very intelligent guy. He just wants to be called an ordinary Joe, but his name is Ty Stover. I know him as Casanova.
Yeah, I'm known by 31 names. Ty Legend, Ty Stover, all that type of stuff. How you doing, everyone? Chattitudes?
It's not your show, Ty. It's not your show.
Okay.
It's not your show.
I'm gonna let it salt.
All right, so we got Ty in the house today to talk about Chattitudes, and who else do we have? And Sean's going to introduce him.
Yes, we have Mr. Alfonso Hearns. He's the managing attorney at Hearns Law Group in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. He's the co-chair of Prince George's County Bar Association Law Committee, and he also leads the Family Law Clinic for Legal Services of Prince George's County. So he's here today to help us navigate through the obstacles of child support, and also he's going to lend his expertise in family law. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, get it in. We have a lawyer in the house.
Yes.
For all of the custodial parents, for the non-custodial parents. We are ready to talk about this hot topic. Are we not, Sean?
Yes, we are.
We even have people in our studio audience as well. Studio audience. Yeah. So what I thought was very interesting when I started looking up child support is that this actually started in 1935. It actually started under the Social Security Act, and it evolved in 1975 to something altogether different. It started off with just basically for low income people, as well as for maybe a person, one of the parents had been deceased, and so they actually started this act to actually help single parents, really. And so, but what has happened is now it has evolved over time. It has just evolved over time. Now it's, I think now because so many people are getting divorced, so many people are getting separated, and so many people are actually having kids without being married. And so people are very easily able to now walk away. And now the child is left in economic disparity in a way, because now they're not able to have the two-parent income that they so deserve.
Amen.
And so I guess my first question, because I'm not going to pull on Hearns too much for his legal advice, because I want you all to go to him. So we're going to get some legal advice from him, but I really want you to call him and go to his law firm, because he has some really good advice. I was just talking to him for a second about my case, and already he done gave me some advice. I can't talk about it on air because we got to sneak attack this thing. We're going to sneak attack this thing. But we're really excited to have you guys. So I guess so. The first question, let's just see. Sean, did you have anything before we get into the first question?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I have one question for Mr. Hearns. I was looking at your bio, looking at your website, but I was just curious, how long have you been practicing family law in Maryland?
15 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's been a little while.
Okay.
Not too
So
long,
he got
but
some answers.
long enough.
Okay.
Oh, he got some answers. He got some answers. All right, so I'm just going to throw a question out there. We're going to talk about it. People can chat about it. So one of my first questions is, so what about parents? I was reading this article, and it was about parents who really just, the non-custodial parent who really just couldn't afford the child support. And I just want to preface this by saying, these are not just dads. These are also moms also paying child support.
Right.
So this is not a father thing.
is.
This is also, the
family
non-custodial parent and the custodial parent.
Right.
So it could be a male or female.
Or it can be female and female.
And it could be female and female too. I've seen that. And they said that that's very difficult nowadays just to navigate who has custody of the child. So that's a whole segment in itself.
Yeah,
That's a whole
custody
segment
issue.
in itself, the whole custody issue. Who gets that?
That's right.
But when a person, it's very interesting to me, because when a person actually has other children, let's just say they may have a child with you, but then they have other children. And so, but now I got to pay $800 for this one child, but now I can't even afford to feed my other children. So tell me how that looks like to you. I'm going to start off with the ordinary Joe here.
Right.
You know, we're talking about, do you think child support sometimes can be a bit extreme, like extremely high?
So one of the things I want to first say is that I think before the child support situation happens is that maybe possibly both parents try to talk with each other and try to first get, especially I'm going to speak from the black man standpoint, try not to have people on paper, try not to go through the court system, try to talk with one another, be cordial, and try to establish a certain point. Because like you said, if you're no longer together, what may happen is people get into other relationships and multiple relationships, and like you said, to your point, trying to bring it all home. It may be a factor where it's 3-4 children involved. And so then that way, your pieces of money are already being divvied up, and you can't afford it. So one, I want to say just try your best to do that. But to your point directly, I do think it's like kind of prohibitive as far as when that first child gets that slice, and then the succeeding kids really don't get an opportunity to have that same share. And it also turns kind of animosity bit. So.
Right. And I will say this, and I'll give it to Attorney Hearns, but what I will say this, so what I've seen, because I've been in the courtroom a couple of times.
Yourself?
Yeah. I've been in the courtroom.
Yourself?
No, not for me, but for someone else. Not for me. But I've been in it, and I've seen where the only time that this money gets equitable distribution is when the other kids are also on child support. So now the court knows about the other kids. And so now I could take the other kids. I could take all the money now and I can divide it equally. But let's just say one of the children aren't on child support.
Right.
What do we do in that case?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting topic and very common in my practice. You mentioned the scenario where there's perhaps the parties should talk before going to court and just not be on paper, just work out an agreement. Oftentimes that does in fact happen. However, when one of the parties moves on into a new relationship or gets married,
Tell the truth.
That's when
the
court case typically begins among the folks that were working out themselves. And it's interesting, the multiple children. I've had people come to me and request that I file a complaint for child support to put them on child support so that this particular child is not left out. And then everyone that comes after the child would perhaps get what's left over.
Wow.
Right.
So here's how the statute works. If you have a child support order and you're currently paying, in Maryland, you're paying child support for one child, and then a second child comes along and there's a second court case, you will get credit for paying child support for this child. So that second child, their support order is going to be lowered. So that's why oftentimes people call me and say, you know what, I want to put myself on child support, because they know other cases are coming and they've decided they don't want to, I guess, sacrifice the amount of the support order for this particular child.
So in those cases, off the break, it's already a rigging of the system in a way from certain parents. So off the break, the intent of what is supposed to be is not even taking place.
Yeah,
right?
it's very difficult for the court under the current statutory scheme to, I guess, order fair and equitable distribution when it comes to child support. So think about it like this. So we have the first child. Let's take me, for example, hypothetically. Let's say I'm paying child support for one child. Well, let's say I have another child and another. Well, the second child, the support that they perhaps would have gotten is going to be lowered because I'm now getting credit for paying support for this first child. And the third child is going to be lowered even further because I'm going to get credit for paying support for the first child and the second child.
Okay. So I would think that that's just, in other words, and I'm just going to do it in a slang way. So in other words, watch who you having kids with, because if that person already have maybe a lot of kids and they're already on child support, then maybe, you already know that your amount of money isn't going to be a lot of money based on the money that's already being divvied out to the other children.
Now, what's even more interesting about this point, sometimes the person requesting to be placed on child support will still be with the child's mother.
Because they're just trying to hedge.
So they want to protect.
They
want to protect, what's
it makes sense.
coming
It makes
down
sense.
the pike.
Right.
But the part
This
that
is
I'm
true.
thinking of already is the economic aspect of it, because again, we know that it disproportionately affects a certain amount of people that don't make as much. So now you're talking about, now you're dragging not only the parent that's paying, but also the potential child for other, these subsequent children down the road. You're bringing them down from an economic standpoint.
Right.
Okay. So one other question for Attorney
Sure.
Hearns. So how does the joint custody thing work in terms of how is that divvied up?
Joint
if you have
custody.
joint physical custody, so do both parents pay, or is it a wash? Like, how does that?
Okay.
How is that determined?
Great question. A number of answers depending on the circumstances. First of all, oftentimes, going back to your hypothetical, the two parties have decided to work it out. They're going to, let's just not deal with the court. I'll just pay this amount. Then at some point, one or the other may get into a new relationship, get married, then they may not be
They're not
willing
paying.
to
Right.
keep
They're not
paying
paying
this
as
money
much. Right.
voluntarily.
Right.
So here comes the court case.
Right.
In that scenario, oftentimes that complaint for child support may be met with a counter complaint for joint physical custody.
Right.
The reason for that is if the court awards joint physical custody, sometimes there's no child support obligation.
Which makes sense. I mean, I've seen that. I've seen where for 2 weeks the child will go to the mother, and 2 weeks the child will go with the father. And then now I don't owe you, you don't owe me. We have joint physical. And I would
correct.
say that that's something that a non-custodial parent should always kind of fight for in a way. Is joint custody and joint physical custody.
Correct.
Not just
The
joint
legal.
custody, but
It's the legal.
joint physical custody where I have my child 2 weeks, you have the child 2 weeks, and then we're just kind of even. You don't have to pay me, I don't have to pay you.
Right.
I don't, but I mean, I would almost have to talk to a child psychologist in a way to see what effects that have on the child.
Right.
Because now you're talking about a whole instability in a way, because now the child just isn't in one home, and the child isn't going to school from this one place. And so sometimes I think that's detrimental to the child, although it's great for equitable distribution and child support. We always, and I think whenever we talk about child support, we always got to talk about what's in the best interest of the child.
Absolutely.
And so I think what happens with a lot of parents is they start getting into these tug of wars. And Ty said something crucial. He said, let's try to work it out prior to getting on these papers.
Absolutely.
But I will say that sounds good in theory.
Correct.
In theory.
Correct.
But as soon as something go wrong, as soon as, and I'm just gonna say, as soon as sometimes the man come up and the new girlfriend in the car, nah, and don't let the new girlfriend have kids in the car too. The first thing we gonna say, no. You not supporting my child, but you supporting these children. So automatically, so I would just tell you that when you riding up to the girlfriend, I'm talking from a woman's perspective now.
Yeah.
You ride up to my house, my kid in the car. You got your new girlfriend in the car with other 2 kids in the back. You better not do it.
That's a no-no, huh?
That's a no-no.
So I'm gonna say,
That's a
I'm
no-no.
gonna agree with you. I'm gonna bring it from the regular guy perspective. You're right. You should not, once you went from the movies, just go ahead and drop everyone off. You and the kid have some quality time together, and then y'all go and get dropped off. Especially if you know that your other partner, your ex-partner, may be a little bit, crazy.
Is it crazy or could it be scorned? I think a lot of
Both
times,
start with a C.
ladies, you better chime in here. You better chime in. I don't, and scorn doesn't start with a C.
Right.
A lot of times,
Code on. Y'all just code on.
I knew. I just
why I'm
didn't call you out.
right? A lot of times, it's not about the person being crazy, but there are a lot. I mean, there's a lot of emotions involved in this thing. I mean, there's a lot of hurt feelings, and so it's hurt feelings sometimes on both parts. And so so a person feel. The non-custodial parent feel kind of powerless sometimes, powerless in a way. They feel like they're paying this money to the other person, but they really feel hurt because they really feel hurt about the other person. Nothing to do with the child now, but all about the other person. So, I don't know.
Can I add one thing as far as not bringing the new spouse or girlfriend to the
Down
house
the
to pick
street.
up? Don't bring them to court either.
Agreed.
Oh, wow.
Agreed.
I mean,
Agreed.
not helping.
Don't bring the new boo
Listen,
to
not helping
court.
your case.
Don't bring the new
And
boo to court.
sometimes we're actually able to work out an agreement in court, in the hallway.
That's true.
But when you walk in with the new,
Right.
the new boyfriend
The
or
new
girlfriend, and
Right. That's true.
their kids,
That's
and it's
true.
like, okay,
Yeah.
now everybody's angry.
Right.
You know, we're not going to be able to
That
reach
makes
anything.
sense.
That's
You're
good
right.
That makes
advice.
And that
sense.
other
That
person
makes
is
sense.
always dressed to set it off anyway. If you notice,
But see, you know,
the
what's-
male comes dressed like, yeah, I'm here to handle this.
But
and
the-
the female comes dressed with the heels on to show what
But,
you've done lost.
but here's the
Wow.
problem when you're the non-custodial parent. If you come into the courtroom and you haven't paid any money towards the child, but now you wearing Gucci tennis shoes and a Gucci belt and a whole Fendi bag or whatever you want to do, and you come in a courtroom like that and you haven't paid a dime, there's a problem.
It's a
And so
problem.
now... So yes, it does matter how you come in. You need to come in some dress blues and some raggedy jeans, because I need to know. Now I'm getting upset. Let me calm down.
yeah,
Let me calm
Just
down.
She
remember,
having
Calm down.
flashbacks. She having
I'm having some
flashbacks.
flashbacks.
just remember, Crystal, none of that has nothing to do with the child. That's number 3 on my list. You know, so.
We do have some chats in here, and I just want to sort of talk some. Somebody said this is a touchy subject.
It's
Woo.
a touchy
It is.
They said it's
subject.
touchy. They said it's. They said co-parenting works with mature adults.
Correct.
That's key.
And
That
that's
is
key. It is key.
It takes to
mature.
But
I'm
in
saying-
reality, it's no such thing as maturity, because again, you get emotionalism in there, you get financial stuff, and those two things throw maturity out the way.
Not always, but sometimes.
Okay.
Child support stuff.
I'll go
Child
with it.
custody stuff.
Someone says, somebody said emotionally disturbed. Mary Wooten, I don't know, emotionally disturbed. I think that was to one of the question about being scorned. Or
Right.
you said the word crazy. I think she was
Crazy
correcting
scorned.
your word. I
Oh,
believe.
okay.
Somebody
We're
said
in
it's not all about the money.
Right.
It's about support. Be there to help
Thank you.
raise
And-
your child.
Right, and that is key. And I was going to bring that up too, in terms of the mom or the custodian person not necessarily scorn, but also feel hurt, because if that non-custodial person is not really in a picture, and they're paying but they're not in the picture, then you feel some kind of way, because now you feel hurt for your child who feels hurt. So there's that rejection. There's a feeling of rejection. So that's the issue.
Right.
So yeah, they're not there. They may be paying money, but they're not there, and that's, to me, is more important.
Yeah,
But
and in today's time, they can always strive, like with technology helps out,
Right.
try to communicate FaceTime and all that good stuff, call. One of the key things is that you do need to make sure, however it falls out, is that you try to be about the children, get the time.
Absolutely.
Erica said that some people are just vindictive and not worried about what's good for the baby. I think
Right.
we've said that. Arlene says that exactly, don't come to court. What is it? Name brand down. Exactly. Arlene agrees with me. And you haven't paid a dime. That's
Right.
just a slap in the face.
Right.
And Diamond says that's right. Tina says the child suffers in the end.
Absolutely.
The child
Absolutely.
suffers in the end.
Absolutely.
So what happens then? I mean, and so because people are really, really slick, and people know the law, and people try to duck and dodge, and they maneuver. They all here, they ducking and dodging all the time, and it's child support. So what happens when, and I call it constructive abandonment, and I don't know if that's a legal term. I might have made it up. I don't know, but I call it constructive abandonment when you just try to work under the table, and now your social isn't showing up anywhere. So now you're working under the table, and you haven't filed taxes. You working under the table. How does that work? Like, attorney, how can we just get them to pay child support? Because I know now that they're hurt and they're running. These are males. These are females. But they working under the table. What can you do with that?
Yes, because I have a case like that. But I'm sorry.
That's a very challenging case where the payor, the person that's responsible to pay child support, is self-employed or works under the table. They don't file taxes. They haven't filed taxes in 7 years, and it's a very difficult challenge. It's really tricky. However, there are ways in which we deal with that situation. But that's in court. We first have to get them to court. There has to be a court case. Once in the court process, there are some things that, some tricks of the trade that we can use to still get the judge to order a fair support amount, even though they may be underreporting their income or hiding income. It happens all the time.
Right.
But there are some ways in which, as family law practitioners, can still get some pretty good results.
How does that apply, like to in the arrears or anything? Is that
Arrears?
one of arrears?
Right. So let me explain arrears. When you file for child support, the day you file, child support in Maryland is retroactive to the date of filing. So if you file for child support today, and your case is not heard until a year from now, that entire year from the date of filing to the court date, you owe that money.
Wow.
Whatever, if the judge orders $1,000 a month, you're now $12,000 in arrears.
Already.
Question
Already.
on that, because I've heard, this is what I've heard, that if that's the case, in terms of being retroactive for a year or however many months, is it true that no longer applies if the father requests paternity tests?
No, it still applies because he can request the paternity test, but the case was already filed, retroactive to the date of filing. So paternity may be established 4 months from now, and say he is the father.
Right.
Well, it's still going back to the date of filing.
What about the obvious? If he, not the obvious, but what if he's not?
Oh, if he's deemed to not
Yeah,
be
then
the father,
there's
then
no
the case
option.
ends.
Done.
Yeah,
Okay.
the case ends. However, that's not always the
That's
case.
Not
why I
always
asked.
the case.
That's why I asked.
Because in Maryland, again, this gets complicated.
Wow.
If the child was conceived during marriage,
I do know
you
that.
are the
Oh.
putative father.
Wow.
Right.
So if
The court doesn't even have to give you paternity.
Wow.
Right. So if the woman goes out and cheat on the man,
Wow.
and
then the husband.
on the husband, then the husband
is
is the
obligated.
father.
Yes.
You're
Is
the
that
father.
because
The husband
I've
is
had
now.
I guess
case.
is that because
Wow.
say
I'm
like
sure.
if he decides not to divorce or anything like that on that or filing on that reason, or is it just
Well,
law?
the Maryland's law with regard to that issue, the putative father, if child is conceived during marriage,
Yeah.
it's a public policy.
Right.
It's a public policy, and the courts and the lawmakers' reasoning is that they don't want to see children abandoned and not
Right,
have a
right.
father or
Right,
two parents,
right.
basically.
Right.
So in one case,
that's crazy?
my client learned that the husband was not, in fact, the father.
Wow.
In this particular case, my client wanted out of the marriage and everything, and then the biological father wanted rights.
Right.
We were finally able to get the biological father acknowledged as the father. But the only way Maryland will let a putative father off the hook, the father that's where the child is conceived during marriage, the husband, is if you find the biological father and they actually step up.
Oh,
The
wow.
court is not going to say, "Oh no, they're not actually your father, so we're going to let him off the hook." No, if the child was conceived during marriage,
Wow.
He that
He is
baby
the
daddy.
father.
He that baby
Wow.
daddy.
Right, right.
He that baby daddy. Wow, you Wow.
Mama's
That's
baby,
all
daddy's
all-
baby,
Yeah.
mama's baby, daddy's baby.
Still
We
gotta
got
pay.
some. Hold up, we got some questions from the chat line real quick. I
Watch
just
out.
want to go to it. I just want to go to the
heavy.
questions.
it is.
That's the most
It
important.
Charlene
really
sort of
is.
goes back and just talk about the woman. I mean, she was talking about the woman or the man actually. If you still have some feelings for that person, a lot of times that's where the scorn actually comes from. When you still have feelings for that person, she said, "Move on, get your own business." Sometimes it's not that easy just to move on. I know we say move on, but sometimes it's not that
She's
easy.
right.
But yeah, but she said that the person just hadn't moved
Adult.
on. Jackie
Sure.
actually has a question. She says, "How can a parent who has a child support order enforce it?" It's very difficult sometimes to enforce that. Although we have so many laws on this book, you know, how can we enforce the law? I mean, again,
Well,
that's just
So I'm
There-
confused real quick. What do you mean enforce? Because if you already on child support, that means it's
Oh, that's way
enforced by
different.
default, right?
That's no,
How do you
not at
collect
all,
money?
not at all.
So what do you
'Cause
mean by
cur-
enforcing?
So I'm currently kind of in that situation where there's been a child support order in place for years, but I've never gotten paid.
Oh,
And so,
you mean
so now the
receiving
order
money.
Yeah, receiving
is
the
It's
money.
not
already enforced.
right. So it's not
received. I got you.
right. So
Okay.
no,
It's not
It's
enforced.
not-
Means
it's not
they're going to
enforced.
catch the non-custodial
no,
parent.
no, that's what I'm
Tile.
saying, but-
we gonna kick tile.
No, y'all laugh. I'm just saying, if you saying enforce, the court
For the
Or already
agency,
have
the child
got
support
there,
agency, right?
And they're already
It's
saying,
going to
But
go
now
after
it's
the
now it's a matter of
Elected.
enforcement because I mean, what do you do? So okay, so now, in, let's say in my case, you know what I mean. The courts really have done nothing to enforce it because one, they can't find him, right? So now, he's self-employed, so he's working under the table and things like that. So when I say enforce it, I don't know that they're going out of their way to try to find him because they got
They're
millions
not.
of cases,
They're
right?
not.
Well,
So-
you make a great point. So
Okay.
this is extremely important. Oftentimes, in the situation you've just described, you'll go to the courthouse or to child support enforcement and say, hey, he's not paying or she's not paying.
right.
How can we get them to pay? And then
Right.
child support enforcement, they have a number of measures that they may employ, such as they may suspend that person's driver's license if they're in arrears or if they're non-compliant. They may bring a contempt action in court, bring them back to court and
I've
say,
seen
and ask the judge to hold them in contempt. So there are a number of things that can happen, but there's also cases where child support enforcement is not the agency enforcing the order. So child support can be ordered and you can be ordered to pay it directly, or you may
Right.
say, no, I want it to come to me directly.
Right.
Because I don't want to wait the 3 months it takes for child support enforcement to set up the account.
Right.
In that case, child support enforcement, they're not a part of the case.
Right.
But even if they are, I've seen situations where sometimes it's difficult for support enforcement to have someone served with the petition
That's
for
true.
contempt.
That's
And
true.
let me explain
That's
to you.
happening.
Let me explain to you why.
Yes.
Because when child support enforcement does it, they hire the sheriff. The sheriff
Right.
pulls up to the person's house in
not
a
there.
police car, gets out, knocks on the door.
Right.
Meanwhile, that person's looking out the window like, ooh, and they go running, hide in the bathroom
Right,
for
right,
15
right.
minutes,
Right,
and then eventually the sheriff leaves.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people end up coming to my firm saying, hey, we can't serve this person.
Right.
That's when we have our private
Private.
processors
Yes.
and our investigators
Yes,
do a
I do know
skip
that
trace.
to be true.
We actually do skip traces to find and locate people and bank accounts and everything else.
Wow.
Too,
Right.
so.
This is why you got to call Attorney Hearns. We're going to put his information up a little later, but he has some powerful information, and we really want to direct our viewers, if you have any questions on family law, to actually just call his practice. He has a great practice over here in PG County, and so we do want you to call him. We have some questions on, they said this is some interesting stuff, so we do have some questions on here. How is the child support order amount determined? Is it based solely on the non-custodial parent's income or both parents? And we do know the
on
answer
both.
to that is based
Yeah,
on both.
based on both.
And that's another thing. So the child support order, I mean, you can literally go online right now today and just pull up the Maryland child
calculator.
support
Calculator.
The calculator.
You can put your income in, you can put his income in, and you can really figure out what the figures are. Whoever makes the most
Absolutely.
money, there's a 60-40 split. If I make more than you and the non-custodian parent make less, then I pay 60%. So we take the salaries together because that's what the child would have gotten had you all stayed together or been together. This is why this is very important. This is an important topic. So if you're thinking about having children or you getting married, so all this is a very important topic because now we're putting this money together. So if one person don't have a job, so that's zero on their side, and the other person making this amount of money, then guess what? You're going to be paying the bulk of the child support. So now this person is only going to be paying. I've seen cases where the judge has ordered $17 a month, $40 a month, $50 a month, because this person really has no job. They have no real income coming in. So this becomes very, very important before you start thinking about having children. So it's basically, I can answer that question, girl. It's based on both.
Well, I will.
will hold up. Wait a minute. Wait
Right,
one
right,
minute.
right. The legal
Attorney Harris,
expert.
No,
I'm going to leave it to him.
I
What you
will.
think? What you
I
got?
will say this: if you hire an attorney, the chances of a judge ordering somebody to pay, well, let's say we're representing the person that's seeking the support.
Right.
No, the chances of a judge ordering $40 a month are, I would say, slim to none, because there's something called imputing income. And again, these are some of the tricks of the trade.
Right,
where
right,
if someone
right.
comes in, hey, I don't have a job. Well,
I've seen
then
that.
my question is, really, do you drive? Yeah, I
Right.
drive. Okay. Do you have a car note? I have
Right.
a car note. Do you pay for gas? He's, well, oh yeah. And how much is the gas that you pay for?
Right.
And what about rent? Do you pay?
Right.
Where do you live?
Right.
And what about food? Do you buy? By the time I finish with that cross-examination, they've admitted to $1,000 a month. And at that point, Your Honor, that $3,000, that's his income each month to
Right.
start with.
To
We start there.
Wow.
Right.
So I mean,
right.
it's just
So we back into the number. We gonna back into
if we
it.
have to.
If we
have to.
See what I'm saying? This is
have
why
to.
you need. So this is why I might need an attorney. You see what I'm saying?
I think it might be wise for you to seek legal counsel.
Yeah, I think so. So somebody says, what happens to back child support? Where does it go and when the child is over 18? So you're still entitled to that back child support, right?
Absolutely. And the court will even order that you continue making payments.
Right. Yeah.
Monthly payments, as if it were a child under the age of majority.
Right.
But I will tell you this, in our practice, in our firm, most of the time in that situation, we request that the court reduce those arrears to a judgment. And from there, we go and request a wage garnishment order or a bank account garnishment order, and just garnish. We don't, we don't like going back and forth to child support enforcement or to the court. When there's things that we can do as a law firm to actually expedite collecting.
Right. Now I do know that there are penalties a lot of times when the non-custodial parent does not comply. I mean, I do know that. I mean, aside from that, I mean, the wage garnishments, I know that there's some jail time, but I do know that the courts really, that's not their ultimate goal to put the father or the mother that's not paying in jail, because when you're in jail, I still can't get any money. It's no benefit to me to have you in jail. So I've seen where they've ordered weekend jail for some people. I've seen where they've ordered 30-day jail. But they really just trying to scare you to do some tactics to say, hey, get out there and get a job. I've seen where I've sat in a court and I've seen where they've said, okay, well, we're going to give you additional 30 days. Now, when you come back, I want you to show me that you sought employment for like the last 30 days. So I want you to go out and apply for 15 jobs. And you got to come to court now and show that you've applied for 15 jobs. And then the judge say, okay, you got another 30 days. Then you go back out there again and you come back again and you do that. Because I don't think the ultimate goal is to put you in jail. I mean, they will take your license. They will take your passport. In Charlotte, North Carolina, because I was there, in Charlotte, North Carolina, they actually put your picture up on the billboard. So as you're going riding down the street, they have deadbeat parents they got. And they have the amount owed. So not only is your picture, you're on the billboard. You're on the billboard, but they have your amount owed. Like, so they are seriously trying to get these people. Wow. But I mean, that's
thinking outside of the box.
That was thinking outside the box. I don't know if it helped at all, but truly, they do have that. I've gone there. I've been there. I've seen. You can just go down the street. It's like 10 billboards. This person owes $10,000. This person owes $80,000. This person owes this. And so I just thought that was a real interesting way too. I mean, I think they try everything that they could possibly do to get that non-custodial parent compliant and just making sure they taking care of the kids, because again, this is really all about the children. Right. This is really all about the children.
Absolutely. And a question about comparing the non-custodial parents in terms of the moms and the dad. Do you find that there's a difference in the attitude with the non-custodial mothers versus the non-custodial fathers? Like, is it harder for them to pay, the moms to pay, or is it?
Amongst us lawyers, we all have the same impression. It is very difficult when a non-custodial mother is ordered to pay child support. It's oftentimes a lot easier to get the non-custodial father to pay child support. The non-custodial mother, that is, it can be very difficult to get a non-custodial mother to pay child support.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But I did.
You know what? I think it's a psychological
I think so.
Reason behind it. Generally speaking, historically, it's usually the man that's paying. But sometimes it's the mother. And then you mentioned joint custody earlier. Well, consider this. Let's say there's a joint custody arrangement and the mother is a high earner, earns $150,000 a year, and the father earns $35,000 a year. She could end up owing him child support, even under the joint physical custody arrangement.
Right.
So it's very it can get complicated.
Yeah.
Right. But I think for a lot of men, I mean, there is a stigma that when we start talking about child support that we immediately think sort of deadbeat dads a lot of times. But I do think that sometimes fathers, even when a child is at the father's house, and let's just say the father now has custody of the child, a lot of times, I don't know if it's machoism, and I'll throw this to you, that the fathers won't even go ask the mother for child support. They say, I got this. I'm not going to put my baby mom on child support. I'm just sort of done with her. And it's okay, but that still kind of hurts your household. You have a child in your house that's not being taken care of by the other parent. And so I just think sometimes that's very difficult. And you even got to explain this to me, attorney. So sometimes, even when a child comes over, let's just say for the entire summer, the child is there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
already know where you're going.
I know, you know where I'm going. So now the child is here. I got to pay for all the summer camp activities. I got to pay for all of the stuff. But yet I still have to pay child support to the mom who now does not have the child for at least 3 months out of the year. But now you're still financially obligated to still send that money to the mother. And sometimes I just don't think that's kind of fair.
So it's no active reprieve
So-
that they can put in? Anything?
That's a common concern that's raised when the non-custodial parent has summer vacation, maybe about a month or two. But they still have to pay child support during that time. Sometimes the court can order child support where it does not go all the way through the summer, and that's rare.
That's rare.
And the reason is the child support amount is basically allocated over the course of a year. So they're
Right.
still obligated to pay the child support even during the summertime when the children are with them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tough.
And I mean, that just happens so often. And even still, I mean, and maybe the mom is going through a hard time or the dad is going through a hard time. And the other parent is willing to just kind of step up and just say, okay, let's let the kid come with me for 6 months, 7 months out of the year just to give you a break. I mean, some parents, I mean, we got to do better than this, people. Some parents don't even send the money back, even if I'm paying you. I mean, just as a matter of just a moral value, just send some money back over there for your child to make sure that your child gets the things that they need. Because
Absolutely. That makes
again,
sense.
this is all about the child, and this is not legal obligation, but just a moral thing, in my opinion. If somebody's watching my child, I want to make sure my child has the best.
Absolutely.
And then, what I see sometimes is a lot of these scorned folks. They would send a child over there, make sure the child got raggedy clothes on,
Wow.
make sure they not sending the child over there with the best clothes because I'm not sending the things that I bought now, and I need you to buy the stuff. We are just so petty sometimes with this thing. And one of the reasons I really wanted to raise this awareness is that we got to come together as mature people. We got to come together and just basically start thinking about the child and stop thinking about ourselves. So even if you're not financially obligated to do it, you are morally obligated to just make sure your child looks his best at all times, that's feeling good, because that just plays on the psyche of a child. And so this is a real hot topic for me, and and for real personal reasons. But I'm not going to really put my child's fault. I've actually forgiven him in my heart in so many ways, although I'm owed $89,000.
Wow.
But what I will tell you is this, and the reason that the piggy bank is here today, because this is very serious. Because my daughter, when she graduated from high school, she was going into college. I'm trying not to get emotional, guys. She was going into college. And she said, Mom, where's my college fund? And I remember printing out what he owed, the $89,000. And I wrote on there, I said, here's the college fund. Because as a single mother, what I had to do was make sure you had food. I had to make sure you had shelter. I had to make sure you could get to college.
Amen.
And in May of this year, she's graduating from college.
Amen.
Without any support, but it's difficult. It's very difficult. So we got to start thinking about the children. And at this point in my life, because I'm so far, I'm thankful to God. It has nothing to do with anybody else. This is all by the grace of God that we have gotten through this. And so I'm not angry about anything. And I may not ever see the $89,000, but to see my child even walk across this stage come May, I'm going to stand up and be so proud and know that I've done it. You know, and that, but not just me, but my family. And this is why my family is so close, because as a family, guys, we got to be a village.
Amen.
We got to go back to the old days of correcting our children. We got to go back to the old days of everybody pitching in to lend a helping hand, that not only that I speak to my child, but you can speak to my child if you see my child out there doing something wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So this is a very hot topic, and it's not about the money at this point. It has nothing to do with that. But even if, I just know that both parents are vital for a child. A child needs his mother, and a child needs his father. And so even as a young lady, I tell my daughter all the time, unfortunately for her, you know, she didn't get her first love should be your father. And unfortunately for her, she didn't get that opportunity. But thank God, there's so many positive people in her life that she's been able to flourish. And so this is a very serious topic, guys. We got to stay on top of this. Child support is very, it's serious. It's serious. And I just want to, and I know we almost out of time once again, and I can't even believe I'm crying on air, but that's how passionate I am about, guys, let's support these children. It's all about the children. Has nothing to do with us. Has nothing to do with the parents. Get over yourselves. Get over it. And even if you're not paying child support, let the child see the father. Let the child see the mother if they want to do that. And even though they're not paying it, because at the end of the day, as long as they're not harming the child in any way, it's important for your child's development. It's very important for your child's development. Whew, that's a lot. So I think on that note, we're going to switch over to our family and friends. I think we got some comments on here. I'll read some of the comments before we switch over. Charlotte, yes, put them on blast. They talking about that thing. Somebody said they should do that here. They should do that here. Yes, it was very difficult, and I raised and supported my child myself. A lot of people saying that, and that happens so oftentimes, particularly in our communities, guys. Unfortunately, in our communities, that happen a lot, and so we just got to do better. We just got to do better. We got to do better. And so I don't even know where we are anymore. I don't even know what time it is. I got so wrapped up in this topic in so many ways.
It's fine.
You all can close us out, and I'll bring up the.
But I just want to say, just like Crystal here, I have sort of the same situation with my son's father, whatever, not to put too much information out, but I do have 2 active child support cases in Maryland. One doesn't pay and one does pay. So I just want to give a shout out to my daughter's father, who does pay. Bless his heart. He is excellent when it comes to financial responsibility. So I just want to note that not all fathers, try to ditch and dodge, but he does take care of his daughter. And I do have a case in the rear, so I'll probably be talking to you soon.
Hang on one second. What I really want to do is I really want to bring up, and then we can go ahead to break. But I wanted to bring up as we go to break, our producer over here. I'm going to just bring up the Hearns Law Group, because I want to make sure that you're able to contact him. If you want to contact Ordinary Joe Ty, just call me and I'll get you in contact with him. But yes. So thank you, guys. Hold on for 1 second. Me and Sean, we're going to come back with our victory viewpoints as we always do. I'm going to put up the Hearns Law Group. Make sure HearnsLawGroup.com. Please reach out to him. We just appreciate his presence today. We appreciate you, Ty. We love and we respect both of you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So we're just going to go to a quick break and just come back in 1 second, and we'll be right back with our victory viewpoints. Thank you guys so much.
You.
All right.
Hang on.
Yeah, I had some so-called friends. Yes. When trouble trouble came, they went the other way. Tell me about it. But one thing I'm glad about, that ain't a friend like the lonely Jesus. No. Well, can't nobody, come on, do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. He's my friend. Jesus healed my body. Well, he told me to run on. Jesus is my friend. Well, you know he picked me up and he turned me around. Jesus picked me up, Lord, he turned me around. I said, Jesus picked me up and he turned me around. Jesus is my friend. Can't nobody do me like Jesus.
Welcome back to our Victory Viewpoints. We just wanted to encourage everyone to make sure that we're taking care of our children. The Bible teaches us that a man is to lead his family in every aspect. Both parents are responsible. Whether you're divorced, separated, out of the household, no one is excused from taking care of their children. And so we just wanted to make sure and just encourage our men to stand up and lead and be fathers because our children need us. And so usually, and really, the father, they are the first teacher in leadership, whether they're going to lead or not lead. And the Bible tells us in 1 Timothy 5:8, but if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. And we know that an infidel is a non-believer and is a heathen.
Just do right by your children. And next week's show, let me just tell you about next week's show. We got to tell you about that real quick. It's about cheaters. And the impact that it has on families, the impact that it has on people. And I'm gonna tell you this: anyone out there who knows Hattie Mae Johnson Jenkins Browns will be here next week. Hattie Mae is coming in for just a special guest appearance next week, so you do not want to miss Hattie Mae. Miss Hattie Mae got a couple of words that she wants to say.
Yes.
And so look ahead. Don't go do no cheating, because Hattie Mae gonna get you. So we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. Thank you for all of our sponsors. We love you. We love you. And have a good night.
Come on and join us. We're gonna have a good time. Listen up, check us out. He's the hotline number to chime. Come on and join us. There's lots of surprise for you. Fun and family, with great fellowship too.
Crystal and Sean have exciting words. I'm sure there's something that you've never heard. Sunday at 6, it's an excellent mix. We got spiritual flair, special guests will be there.
Come on and join us. We're here and waiting for you. Connect with us at 6 o'clock. We wanna share in all you do. Come on and join us. Come right here and find. Connect with us and share your thoughts. We wanna explore your mind. Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?
Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?
Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?
Chattitudes, Chattitudes.